Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Upkick MMA, episode 291. I am Brendan, the Ultimate Fighter, season 31. Michael Chandler versus Conor McGregor, episode 6. All right, this is going to be Lee Hammond versus Kurt Holobaugh. We're going to break down that fight. We're going to break down the whole episode. If you haven't seen the episode, heavy spoilers. I'm going to be talking about all of them. If you haven't seen any of the other episodes or my other breakdowns of each episode, go ahead and check those out. I'd appreciate it. Real quick, before we get into the episode, if you like this kind of stuff, I also break down fights round by round every single weekend, breaking down the UFC, Bellator, all that good stuff. If you like that kind of thing, subscribe to the channel so you know the next video is coming out. Appreciate it if you go check those out as well. Let's get into it. Okay, Ultimate Fighter, episode 6. Now, if you've been following the series so far, you know that Conor McGregor's team has not won a single fight. All right, he's 0-5, and part of it could be partly him. Sorry, I'm cutting weight this week, and my brain is not functioning the right way. I'm a little bit out of it, but anywho, Conor might be partly to blame because of his coaching style. It could be the team that he's put together, meaning he picked the prospects and not the veterans, so he has a harder job that, you know, the veterans are just able to do it. Maybe it's Chandler's a better coach. Maybe Chandler fits better with these guys. Anyway, also, if you're looking for the fight breakdown, timestamps down below. Let's talk about how this episode went through. So our competitors, obviously Lee Hammond and Kurt Holobaugh. So Lee Hammond, good fighter from all that we can see here from his record. He's been training in SPG since he was like 11, he said, or 13 years old. He's 5-0, 4 finishes, right? Three TKOs and 1 submission. Great fighter. It looks like he's a very good prospect. He's 6'1", and he's fighting in 145 pounds. He's a big dude. Obviously, he cuts a lot of weight. You know, taking a page out of the Conor McGregor playbook. You know, cutting weight, going down to featherweight like that. It's just, he's a big guy. And then you got Kurt Holobaugh. Obviously, he's the veteran, right? And he fought in the UFC multiple times. So way back in the day, he got it's cool. They covered it in his story. He got a call from, I believe, Sean Shelby, he said, to come fight at the last Strikeforce event. And he, you know, fought Pat Healy. This was the Nate Marquardt versus Tarek Saffiedine event in Strikeforce back in 2013. Fought Pat Healy, lost. Then he fights Steven Seiler back at UFC 159 and loses that. Then, because of that, he gets cut from the UFC. So then he bounces around. Fights at XFC, Titan, you know, which is a feeder league to the UFC in a lot of ways because it was covered, you know, they have it on their freaking UFC Fight Pass. Wins most of his matches there against some good guys like Desmond Green. That's a good win. Lose some people that I don't recognize. Wins a Cavalcante, but that's not the same Cavalcante. I know Rafael Cavalcante. Then he gets a call back up again in 2018 and loses to Hani Barcelos, who's a really good fighter. Lost to Shane Burgos. Again, a really good fighter, no longer in the UFC, but excellent fighter. He fights in the PFL now. And Thiago Moises, again, a really good fighter. So he's one of those guys who's been cut twice from the UFC, and it makes sense. You know, he's got 2 wins in the XFC since then, and now obviously in the Ultimate Fighter. So if you look at his history and the people he's fought, it obviously makes sense based off the matchmaking that he's not in the UFC anymore. Who he fought, right? He had 3 really hard fights the last time he was in the UFC. If this guy had better matchups or matchmaking, he could still easily be in the UFC, and it's one of those things where it's unfortunate that his career has taken this path, but he seems to be living a pretty good life. He's got a farm in Louisiana. He's got a beautiful family. By the way, his boys' names are Braden, Zayden, and Raiden, which, if that doesn't remind you of the scene from Dodgeball, I don't know what does. Blade, Laser, Blazer. Man, they got blades, lasers, all kind of tasers, all kind of aces. So, Braden, Zayden, and Raiden, why would you do that? Cool names, but weird. Another note from this episode, there was the way Chandler talks to his guys when he's training them is exactly the things that I like to hear. It's a personal thing, so like how he's talking to Kurt, it's like, hey, we got 2 more rounds of this. I need you to push real hard through this, and then we'll be, the way he's talking to him, he's being analytical while still motivational. I love that kind of stuff. I love seeing that. You can obviously lean heavy in one direction based off your fighter, but for a general population, I think the way he talks to his fighters in his that are on his team is excellent. Lee's living the Spartan lifestyle with the support of his mom. Obviously, he's not working on his own, but he lives in Dublin. He's only focused on training at SPG, training and fighting. I think that gives him the best chance of moving forward with his career. But we'll see what happens with that. And then again, during the weigh-ins, Connor was not there. This could just be editing, right? Connor might have had something else. He might have been training. Who knows? I think they're editing it to make it seem like Connor is more aloof than he actually is. I'm not saying that he's there all the time, but it seems like they're overplaying it. All right, let's talk about the fight, shall we? Lee Hammond taking on Kurt Holobaugh. The fight, pretty good. If you didn't watch this one, it's a lot of grappling in the first round, a decent amount of back and forth. Holobaugh landed a low kick to start, and Hammond caught it. He sat right to the ground and got him right down there. Hammond was landing a couple shots. He wasn't able to really unload, and Holobaugh gets his way back up around the 3:30 mark in the round, and he gets Hammond on his ass real quick, but they get back up. Some scrambling around. Hammond got on top again. Holobaugh kept the body lock for some reason instead of letting go and going for striking. They scramble around, and then Hammond gets on top. Hammond got to the back at the end of the round. It was an excellent round for Hammond. He was able to dominate the grappling exchanges, landing damage when he could. Easy 10-9 for him. So going into the second round, Kurt really needs to do something in order to take it either to a third round or finish the fight outright. Holobaugh caught a kick, and then Hammond went for a guillotine, used it to sweep to mount. Beautiful sweep. Lee looked great on the ground, keeping control. Holobaugh finally gets back up around the 2-minute mark. And then during some transitions and some, there was a... I do recommend going to watch it. I'm not going to do it justice, and I obviously can't play it here, otherwise this video will get taken down. But during a transition, Hammond left his neck out, and Holobaugh reached around and locked up the guillotine. Gets the guillotine, cinches it up tight, gets the tap, and gets the finish. Dude, Hammond was winning that entire fight. I feel bad for the kid. I feel like he was doing an excellent job, and Holobaugh just... keeping his head in the game, always looking for an opportunity, and found it and got the finish. So it was a great fight and great showing from Hammond, and great capitalization of a mistake for Holobaugh. All right, he capitalized on an opening that he found in transition. It was, again, it's one of those things where you go back and watch it and you can say, oh, hey, Hammond was leaving these openings all over the place, and Holobaugh didn't take advantage of it. I understand. There's always openings. There's always mistakes everywhere, but Hammond was doing a great job controlling this fight. I don't know if he got tired or sloppy or whatever, but, I think he does have a bright future, especially if he can keep his weight the way it is right now and his size. He's a big kid. He's really good. He's young. I think he's only 26 years old. So he's got a bright future ahead of him if he can keep advancing. If he stays where he is right now, I don't know. I didn't get to see his striking that much in this, so there's no way to know. All right, now probably why a lot of people are here. This is the after fight talk. Okay, McGregor was talking shit, saying, he was talking shit, but kind of, he wasn't talking shit to Holobaugh, right? He was saying, good job, great performance, good to stay in there. He's telling his fighter, Hammond, these guys are best friends, basically. Maybe not best friends, but they train together, right? He's been training with Connor for a long time, so he tells him, like, dude, that was a beautiful performance. He got lucky. Then he talks to Chandler. He's like, that's what they must coach in Bellator, huh? And then there's finally a face-off. Like, they've faced off a few times, but they got in each other's face, and Chandler and McGregor start talking shit, and then McGregor shoves Chandler's face away. Chandler's just, he keeps saying, I'll keep stacking him up, and telling Connor to show up. Maybe if he showed up for his team, they'd win some more. So, tempers flare a little bit at the end of the episode. It obviously boils over, and they show Dana White rushing into the octagon to try and cool things down. I don't know if that was necessary. And, we've seen it in the past. Conor is very good at playing for the cameras and playing it up. So if this gets more people to watch the next episode, I'm down. I thought this episode was good. I thought the fight was good. I thought it moved at a clip. I think that they're really starting to hit their stride with their editing in this season. I think they've gotten enough material, and they've laid the groundwork here for a really good last couple fights. And honestly, I think the finals are going to be interesting because it's going to be mostly Chandler's guys. So that is it for this episode. If you want to watch the breakdowns of the last couple episodes, or all the episodes, I got all those up. If you're looking for breakdowns from fights from the past weekend, I've got those up. If you want to go check those out, I've got all the fights from the past year. I broke down all of them in the UFC. So if you seriously, every single fight from the UFC in this past couple years, if you want to see a breakdown of it, you want to see a round by round, whether or not you agreed with it, I agreed with it, go check out. I have them all in my channel. So go check out those if you're interested. Subscribe so you know when the next video is coming out. I appreciate y'all. Have an amazing week. Love y'all.